Sorcerers! Josh here. Today I want to talk about one of the most important things I think that was announced at SorceryCon, which are the store kits. Now it sounds like these things are going to be pretty robust, and I thought it was especially nice that the company acknowledged that in terms of supporting stores and building communities, they've not been the best at it. I think it's good that they made that acknowledgement, and now they're going to correct that in whatever way they can, and the solution that they have come up with is these store kits. These things sound really, really good. They're going to include pre-constructed decks, they're going to include draft kits, they're going to include beta, they're going to include Arthurian Legends. So you're going to get this whole thing. In addition to that, I think that these store kits are going to include those 2 cat promos that we saw at SorceryCon. So you're kind of going to get this, the stores are going to get these giant kits to basically build their communities, which is just something that we have simply not had. And most of the community building that we've seen for Sorcery has been individuals who have taken their private collections, who have built their own communities, who were fortunate enough to be able to buy boxes and boxes of the stuff and bust it for whatever reason, and then they used that product to build their communities. And sure, we did get the store kits that had the alpha and the beta store kits, but those just weren't really robust. I mean, yeah, you got this kit, it had some promos in it, had a playmat and that type of thing, but there was still no product to really help stores build a player base in their store. So the idea that this store kit is kind of an all-inclusive, this is going to help you build your community, I think that's an excellent way for Eric's Curiosa to try to correct some of the missteps that have happened and just the general lack of support and that. Now, some of that's perfectly excusable. Their team was very small. It does make sense. You only got, I think it was 7 people originally. That's tough to build something like that. So it's nice that they're finally addressing that. I think that's also a very good thing for those folks that want a more competitive environment when it comes to sorcery. Even if, the stores are going to use these store kits to support more casual play and that type of thing, there are going to be players who are going to want a more competitive event, whether that's a draft or constructed or whatever it is. So by creating these store kits, not only are we going to increase the number of players, but I also think we're going to see a substantial increase in the number of players that are going to be seeking competitive play, which really wasn't the point of sorcery. It was more meant to be something that you do at home and do for fun based on the whole design of the game and what we've been told by Eric, that was kind of his thought process. But now that we're going to have these store kits, that can only lead to people wanting to play in more serious events. Even if they're casual, people are still going to want to draft and do those things. And that's going to lead to some players who are going to want to start making the big trips to go to SorceryCon, to go to Gen Con, to do the big events as the community continues to grow and we see more and more of those things. My one question about the store kit is, though, and I don't recall it being addressed, is how are they going to convince stores to order this thing? If it's as big as it seems to be, this all-inclusive package that's going to have beta boxes and Arthurian Legends boxes and pre-cons and all these things, I'm assuming it's going to go through the regular distribution channels. So what's going to tell a store that they should pick it up? Certainly, I'm sure there are still some stores that know about the product because they have local players and they're going to be like, oh, I'm definitely going to pick that up. It's going to be worthwhile for me. But the real question is, what about all the stores out there that have not even heard of sorcery? So that's the point of this video. I believe that while this store kit is an excellent idea, it's definitely a step in the right direction. At the end of the day, if all of us want sorcery to grow into something where you can go into any major metropolitan area into the store and there's sorcery product on those shelves, even with the store kit, it's gonna take us. We are the only way that this game can grow, because we're gonna have to be champions for the product. You want, and tell your stores, you want to order this. This is going to go somewhere. This is going to last. And that means doing some little, research into what the product is and all that type of thing. Because when we're talking about these small LGSs, any product is a big risk for most of them. The margins are tight, and even though Sorcery has done an excellent job of trying to ensure that the profit margin on their product is much better than any other TCG on the market, it still doesn't change the fact that it's a new game, and no local store wants product sitting on their shelves. So the only way that these store kits can come to a store that has no idea what Sorcery is, or that has bought product and then they just fire sold it on some other platform, it's going to take those of us who want to grow the game taking the time to convince the store to take that dive. That's not easy. I've talked to a lot of people who've tried to get their stores to jump in on it, and their stores were like, no, I've got Star Wars or Lurkana or, Magic, One Piece, whatever it was. I've got all these things. It's too much. I can't add another card game. So in order for all of us to see the game grow as much as we want, if you have product, if you've opened a lot of things, just try to convince them to host a casual night event. Pick a night that isn't terribly busy at the store, where they don't have a lot of events, and say, look, I will do this. I will operate this and run this. That's what I'm doing locally. And I think that's what all of us are going to have to do to maximize the effectiveness of these store kits. Yes, they're going to get out there, but if your store does not know that this kit is coming, one, they might miss out. Maybe they don't make enough. And then all of a sudden your store misses out on this excellent opportunity to grow the community in their store. Or two, they just don't even order it because they don't know that they're supposed to be looking for it. And it just never happens. So at the end of the day, this all comes back to us. We have to go out there, talk to the stores, and let them know, look, they have made a statement. And you can show them the stream where they said, we've made some missteps with supporting stores, and we're going to rectify that. Go out there, show them that. And then say, and look, and now they're going to create this store kit that includes all of this product. And then we can start building a community with that and advocate that whoever you are out there watching this, that you will help your local store build that community to convince them to order this store kit product. That's what is going to have to happen. Now, again, I do think some stores are going to order it. The stores that are familiar with Sorcery or whatever, certainly any of the innkeepers, I would think they'd probably try to pick one of these up just because they want those cat promos. They may not necessarily need the additional product in it, but if they're moving product, then more product is nice to have. But for stores that just either fire sold and said, I'm not doing this, or if your local store just flat out said, I'm not doing it, it's all going to fall on you. You have to go out and put yourself out there and try to set up some casual play events to get people excited. And it's going to take a couple of you. I started with the game, had a couple of friends that decided to pick it up, and we tried to grow it from there and done some demos and that type of thing. But it all comes back to you. But I cannot stress enough that right now, as soon as these store kits are available, and I think they said early 2025, now is going to be the best time that we have seen since the inception of the game to get your store to pick this up, to turn it into something that is regularly on their shelf. So, what I recommend you do right now, take a look through that live stream where they talk about the store kits. Take some notes. Go to your store, even if it's one that's already said, I ain't doing this. Go back in and say, look, hey, they talked about these store kits. They're going to make them. It's going to have a lot of product. It's going to be like an all-in-one how to start your sorcery community, because that's exactly what it sounds like. And then maybe you can convince them to go ahead and take the plunge. Now, we don't know how much these things are going to cost. That may be something that comes into play, but I'm hoping that since they're going to be store purchases, maybe there's a bit of a discount or an incentive, or maybe the promos in and of themselves don't really add any cost or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be priced. I'm sure, given the focus of the company to actually make it so that the products have a decent profit margin, these are probably going to be very, what's the word I want to say? It's just something that they're going to be able to get their hands on at a reasonable price. They're going to try to accommodate as low a price point as possible so they can build a community. And I think that that's true because they've made the acknowledgement that there's been a misstep here. So I really think that's what it's going to take. But at the end of the day, it's all on us. We've got to go out there and we have got to set up these communities. So we've got a month and a half at this point before 2025. Now, I don't know if those kits are coming in January of 2025 or March of 2025, whatever it is. But now is the time to lay the groundwork, to go out, to talk to your store, maybe show them the live stream, that little section where they talk about the store kits. Build that relationship and start the casual events now, if you can. Especially, if you've busted several boxes and you've got a couple of, decks, ordinary decks, that type of thing, where you can just show people how to play the game, give some of your ordinaries away if you have a lot of product. Great. But start now. Start now so that when this store kit is available, your store is like, you know what? You put a lot of effort into this. I'm going to shell out whatever that price tag is, and we're going to do this. So that's all I got for today. Keep on contesting the rounds.